All right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I'm here with a band that is new to me, really, and I think new to the podcast, new to a lot of people who are listening to the show. One of the things that I think people who listen regularly know is that it's a Manitoba podcast, but I'm very focused on Winnipeg. Being here in Winnipeg, it sort of makes it a lot easier to find local bands that are playing in the city. But every once in a while, we like to sort of go beyond the perimeter and find people doing other stuff in other parts of the province. And I think that the best way to start this off is if the three of you who are here today want to introduce yourselves, what you do in the band, and then maybe a bit of background about the band, and we can sort of take it from there.
Sure.
Sure.
Toby, you want to start?
Yeah. Sure. I'm not the front man. That'd be our buddy Joey, but he'll get his spot last. My name's Toby. I'm the bass player. I also do a lot of the production kind of stuff in the band, and oddly enough, I do live in Winnipeg. It's why we're in from different locations here. But yeah, we've band started up together maybe 4 years ago, and then that's when we were all playing together over at Bailey's house, and Joey showed up, and yeah, that's all I'm about, really.
So who else have we got here then today?
So I'm Bailey. I'm the drummer of the band. We started playing in my parents' basement, so pretty classic, bands. Yeah. Toby and I were playing, just kind of getting our legs underneath us. At least I was definitely just learning the drums, getting it together. These two, humored my bad playing long enough for me to get somewhat good enough for the album. But it all started with Toby and I. We go back to high school together. So, after high school, he picked up the bass, I picked up the drums, we started playing a bit.
We're kind of going in chronological order for introductions.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, and Joey pops up on the scene.
Well, and that led to some kind of jam band. I'm Joey, by the way. I am the singer and guitar player of Ditch. And these are my mates, Bailey and Toby. And we have been cooking up some music for a couple of years now, and
quite a while.
I'm personally a big fan of the show, so I'm excited to be on here and have something to plug. It's really exciting.
Well, that always makes it easier, right? If you got something to talk about, it's a lot easier than just coming on to talk about being in a band. That's great too.
Yeah.
But you have a new record, and we'll definitely get into that. But I guess we've alluded to the fact that Winnipeg is maybe not necessarily where all of you guys are right now. Where are you geographically? Because I think a lot of people might be unfamiliar with what you do and who you are.
I live in Miami. And I usually wait for people to give me a look, and then I say Manitoba, so It's a little less glamorous. Bailey?
So I lived in Morden my whole life, and now I'm just living just outside of Morden, and we're kind of in the country right now. So this is where we currently practice, and we're kind of out far enough that we don't disturb anybody. But based out of Morden.
Okay. So I've been to Morden, mainly for the festival in the summer. I've been a bunch of times. I think like a lot of Winnipeggers, probably that's their main experience in Morden. I don't have a great grasp on what the music scene is like there as far as original music and not people coming in to play a big event like that. So I've had a few artists from Morden on the show before, but what's your sort of, I guess, take on what the music scene is there? I know Winnipeg's close enough, and so are a number of other communities that you can probably fairly easily get shows sort of around the area. But in Morden itself, what's it like?
Morden itself has been so welcoming as a community to us. It has a huge. Sorry, I should start by saying it has a huge music community. There are some tremendous musicians here, like just in Morden.
Yes,
not including Winkler. It's a really music influenced area, and when we popped up on the scene, people were just really supportive and invited us to lots of shows, and we've got lots and good friends we've made through the music.
Yes.
You had our good pal Derek Helps on.
Right, his record was fantastic too.
That Night a Tree Grew. Oh my God. Like the fact that came out of the Morden area was so thrilling to like us and me, because like there's not like a ton of psychedelic rock out here. There's lots of great music. A lot of it's like country, folk, that sort of idea. But like all of a sudden out of the I guess the trees, it's this like psychedelic forefront came out, and it was just really, really exciting. And we've spent a lot of time jamming with Derek and kind of learning the art of that.
Well, that was kind of my next question is, I mean, about the stylistic thing. I mean, it's a question that no one likes answering because it's hard to answer sort of where you fit in, genre-wise. But I mean, I have this perception, and I think a lot of Winnipeggers do too, that everything outside the city is dominated by folk and country. And I mean, the city is all, large parts of Winnipeg are dominated by those genres as well. But you're doing something a little heavier. I mean, I wouldn't call it heavy necessarily, but it's much heavier than a folk band or a country band. I mean, do you have sort of a way to classify it? I mean, I guess maybe the obvious thing would be called alt rock or something along those lines.
Yeah, that's kind of
that's what we've sort of landed on is the alt rock thing, but we don't.
Definitely the easiest answer.
I think that covers the umbrella of like what our sound is, but I think like each song individually could be categorized as however it comes out. We try not to write alt rock songs. Like just write a song, and then like whether it's the kind of poppy simplicity of Same Sort Reception or the disco of Ladyfinger Killer, like it just like that just like happened, but it still sounds like Ditch.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I guess so the brother to that question then is how is that received out there? I mean, are there a lot of other bands that play in a similar enough style that you sort of have a scene there for what you do, or does that require going a bit outside of Morton's
we're a little bit heavier than other locals. Like bands do come through that are just as heavy as us or whatever. And that's not what we're aiming for, but it's our style is very it's not abrasive, but it's at the forefront. You know what I mean? Like it's in your face in a certain way that like doesn't work to play in a coffee shop. So like we have to be kind of like selective where we play around here.
Sure. And are there venues that work out there for what you do? I mean,
oh yeah. Legion of Doom has probably been hosting us the most.
Yeah. Our good pal Carl Redding throws a Legion of Doom every fall in the basement of the Legion.
Cool.
And there was you played in a synth band there.
Yeah, like an electro band. It's whatever very cool. Yeah. So why there is a lot of folk music in Morton, but there is quite the genre diversity. Like
there's Rock's Bar, there's Trav's Bar, Travelers Inn. If you want to play a real exciting night, that's a good place to play. We love Trav's. Well, there's lots and lots of good venues.
And maybe a good way to phrase it is that it's when you go to a show in Morton, oftentimes you don't end up going to a folk show or a country show or a rock show. It ends up just being a mixed bag. You're just coming for the music, and whatever lucky 3 bands are up that night, you just got to enjoy it,
And those are often the best shows too, right? Where you have just a completely disparate sounding artists on the bill, for sure. I mean, in the city as well. And so I guess, not to dwell on the Morton thing. This is my last question about that, I hope, for now, and then we can talk about the record itself. But what has it been like? Again, because it's very Winnipeg centric, this show, and I'm here in Winnipeg. What has it been like sort of trying to get into the music scene here? Because obviously this is going to be where a lot of your audience will be, whether it's seeing you live or hearing you online or however they're hearing your music. I mean, has there been a challenge to sort of get yourselves known within Winnipeg?
There has been a bit of a wall with that, but it's kind of like on us in the sense that we didn't have any material out there.
Okay.
We had like a few live videos and stuff, but we were working so hard on this record. We've been working on this record for years now. It's been done for a year.
Yeah,
we've just been dilly-dallying, like the touches, just spending too much time on it. But so like it was hard to like reach out to venues and try and explain ourselves and like sort of that. So I don't kind of like blame it on the venues or anything like that. I'm excited to see what it's like now that we have material, and to like send out the next list of emails out to venues and say, be able to put a foot forward and say, hey, this is us, this is what we sound like, are you interested?
Yeah, now you have a calling card. You can link them to the record, and then they can
exactly. Yeah, because we've emailed a lot of venues and reached out to a lot of spots, and we've played a couple of really, really awesome shows in the city, but it's not like consistent enough for us to make the drive out. Toby's always driving out here, you know.
For sure. So I guess with this record, you mentioned a couple seconds ago that it's been done for a year. These are songs that have been sort of in the works for a while. And one question I like to ask people a lot when that's the case, and that is the case for a lot of artists, I think, is how do these songs feel to you now? Do they feel old? Now, I'm assuming you're still working on new stuff sort of constantly. And these are new to a lot of people listening, right? I mean, myself included. But do they feel old to you? Do you feel like you've sort of progressed now past these songs because they're sort of so, I don't want to say dated, but like, they've been in the can for a while?
Right.
my opinion on this is no. So what do you guys think?
Well, what's your? I don't know your opinion. So let's hear.
I'm surprised.
I am so ready to like. We've been working on new material, and I have been whipping these fellas like, yeah, to the finish line. Please, I want to put out an.
I can't seem to let it go. Like
we got a new album. We're writing. You know, nothing more than just some ideas we've got down, but we've been just like. Some of those songs I brought to the guys like from years ago. I think Same Serviception I wrote in 2016.
Yeah, that's what we just saw. Yeah,
like so for me, a couple of them are really old and they have new life and they're still exciting and we love to play them. But yeah, I don't want them to be taking up so much of my brain space anymore.
Well, you kind of have to now, though, right? Because people are hearing this record. You got to play these songs.
Yeah, and that's okay because there's new ways to invent
the spark is reignited. Now that they're released and we have something to share. And
100%, they feel different.
They do feel different now that they're
old,
out there.
But we are like happy with them. You know, like we're happy to play them. We're not dog tired of them.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
you feel the same way.
I was just gonna say it's interesting definitely to see the things that people say. Some days, you know, at work and stuff, I'll share the album around and people will tell me about it. And by the end of the day, I'm like, man, this is all I've talked about all day long. And some of the questions people asked you are pretty funny. They asked me, one of my coworkers asked me what my favorite song on the album was after I asked them the same question. I was like, you know, I can't even answer that. Changes once a week. And it's probably whatever I'm working on right now.
Aside from the songs some of them being old, obviously 2016 is quite a while ago now. Do you feel like the sound of the band has progressed? Like how has the sound of 2025 changed from maybe what these songs would have been like when you originally wrote them? And then the sort of another question related to that is have you been able to sort of shift some of these older songs into whatever your newer sound is? Like have they developed over the years and then morphed and molded?
Yes, I'm glad that we played the songs for as long as we did before we recorded them because they really made a lot of changes. I listened back to like some old videos we have of us and they are like Bailey put the fill into Acid the week we were going into the studio and I cannot hear that song without
going into the heavier section. That's right. So like we were tweaking these things all the way up until the 100%. Very end.
And so we're very happy that
we definitely had like a sound. I think we were all kind of narrowing in on over time and slowly, like literally over years of us playing. Like we all had the same idea, I think, but it was just for me at least getting the technical ability there to execute, you know. And
the band definitely started more as us just loving playing music, and I've always been a writer. I'm a songwriter before I'm a singer or a guitar player. Really, this is just a way to do it. But it started as us just having a blast, and then eventually I brought Same Service and we had fun with that. Then we wrote a song on our own and whatever. And then it ended up being like, hey, we have a couple of really cool songs. Should we be like a band, I guess? And then I was like, yeah. And then came months of trying to find a name and months of, you know.
It did take months to come across the name. Yeah.
Crazy. What were some of the other options? Did you have any like really terrible ones that came up as potential?
I can't remember. We shan't share. I've listened to enough of your episodes. Nobody digresses.
Right. Right on.
Toby, do you remember anything?
No.
I do remember, I think one of them, but it sounds like we got... sounds like it's not getting let out there. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Come see me at a show. I'll tell you one new name after each show.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Right on. So what is sort of the goal with this now? I mean, you have this record out. Obviously, like you said, it's kind of it can act as a calling card. You can get more shows in the city and elsewhere. Where do you hope to take the band now that you have this kind of out in the world? Now people can very easily hear you on whatever platform they use to listen to music. What's the next step now to progressing further with this band?
For me, it's personally like more material. I want to write more songs. The most fun we had was when we wrote the actual songs and played them at the first show. You know, like the first time we played Ladyfinger Killer. Oh man, you know, like that's
we wrote those songs in a big chunk too. We wrote like 3-4 songs at once and we performed them all all at once and
that's the rush. So like for me, I want to go back to writing some new tunes because like we talked about, they're old songs, right? I want to add them as fodder to the canon more than, you know, our main main meal, you know, every show. Like I want to be able to like sprinkle some of these tunes in and like excite people with like the older stuff. I want this to be older stuff, you know?
Right. Well, fair enough, for sure. So I mean, I guess like with playing a genre of music, I know again it's nebulous. Alt rock, we'll just use that as a term for the purposes of this. But you know, playing a style of music that has potential to be attract a very wide umbrella audience, right? I mean, you're not doing something super niche. You're not doing something that's necessarily hard for people to wrap their brains around. You're playing a fairly straight ahead style of music. Where do you want to see this go? Like, what is the sort of the ultimate goal, I guess, with this band? Are you happy to just be doing what you're doing, or do you have ambitions to sort of take it further? And I ask that mainly because you're doing a genre of music that is, you know, potentially could reach a very wide group of people.
I really don't think that's,
for me at least. When we were writing the songs, it was always, I feel like whenever we wrote something that even one of us just didn't like a little bit, we didn't do it.
Yeah.
Like we didn't write it. We changed it up and we compromised, and then we like, I like all of the songs personally, and
yeah, like I don't have any ambitions to like aim us towards a certain, you know,
whatever sounds good.
Like I'm a big fan of jam bands that, you know, go across genres, you know, like you can put out a country album and then a jazz album, and what does it matter? We're not going to do that. I mean, maybe, but like, you know, it's more about just like letting the songs just happen. That's the most exciting part of it. And if we someday end up sounding, you know, like a certain genre, then okay, that's where we were supposed to be. I don't know.
Sure.
Follow the stream.
Well, that makes sense. Are there certain artists that all of you listen to that you can agree on, or is it a pretty diverse listening habits between you?
No.
There's a few.
There's a Venn diagram. They're all coming together.
They're getting there. Yeah. It was very separate at first.
So what are your top three bands you're listening to then?
Me right now?
Yeah,
let's hear it.
King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard's number one. Oh boy, out there.
See, we share King Giz.
Yeah,
okay.
It's Viagra Boys.
That's
got to be top.
All three of us are like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's and then some folk country stuff. You know.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
They're like singer songwriter stuff. That's where I'd sit. Outside of Gizzard and bootleg Gizzard, there's not much room for any other music in my life.
They're making a lot of records.
Top influences is Toby.
Well, personally, I like Viagra Boys a lot, like you were saying. Top of that, I do listen to a lot of pop punk as well. I've been listening to a lot of Hot Mulligan these days. And besides that, I don't know. I like to spend my time listening to like old 2000s rock and stuff like, I don't know,
you've been into
Big
that.
Wreck, that sort of thing.
Okay, sure.
It's a lot of fun.
What is the plan? As far as playing shows, do you have anything booked in the relatively near future? I mean, this is a podcast. Someone could hear it the week it comes out. They could hear it like 5 years from now because apparently I can't stop making this show. You know, so but for people listening now, people who are listening at the time this is coming out, do you have anything sort of on the horizon in the next few months that people might want to check out?
Yeah, we've got June 27th booked for Rock's Bar. It's kind of going to be like a album celebration, not like an album release party, because, you know, it's out there already. But you know, we're just gonna get out there, jam some tunes that we love, and throw the album out there and celebrate it. So, you know, remember that date, June 27th, Rock's Bar.
Yeah, it's in Morden,
Manitoba. But other than that, you know, we've got maybe a couple little festivals and pop-up shows this summer, but it's pretty fast and loose the way we plan it.
Hopefully we can get some city shows. Yeah.
Well, we should have at least one later this year if everything works out.
Right. And then I guess the follow-up to that question is then how do people hear this? I mean, again, you know, being in Morden, a lot of Winnipeggers listen to the show. They might not be able to get down there and see you live until you play in the city. What's the best way to hear your stuff? How can someone find out what you're up to online?
Well, you can always go to our Instagram page, which has our link tree, which Toby made for us as the tech guy of Ditch. Little quick round of applause. We didn't know what a link tree was.
No, I had no idea.
Which will bring you to our Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, all of that stuff, and that's where you can find the album itself. And follow the Instagram and keep an eye on us.
When it asked us where to publish it, we published it at every possible streaming service, so it could be places that we don't even know.
And actually, keep your eyes peeled around the city. We printed like a couple hundred CDs, and I've just been leaving them all over the place, like giving them to people or putting them on lampposts. So if you see one, it's free. Take it.
That was my next question, actually, because I'm definitely like a dinosaur, and I listen almost entirely to physical music. I don't use Spotify or Apple or any of those things, just because I'm old and set in my ways, right? So it's nice to hear. It's always nice to hear when bands are putting out physical stuff. I mean, a lot of people do that still and have done it for decades, but there's a lot of bands that are putting stuff out now that they just don't even think about it because it's not the way their audience consumes music or the way they consume music themselves either, right? So
we had talked about only releasing this album on cassette.
Okay, awesome.
Ultimately decided that was a poor idea, and so instead we gave away hundreds of free CDs. But you know, it was a marketing idea.
Yeah. Well, there are still lots of us who listen to tapes. We're out here.
Oh, me too, man. I know. But it's too easy to find good tapes. There's no thrill like the vinyls. You know, you go to the thrift stores and there's just racks and racks of good cassettes.
Yeah, well, it's not as good as it used to be about 15, 20 years ago when everyone just was dumping all their tapes, like, you know, in large quantities. But yeah, I know what you mean for sure. So, and if someone wants to get a CD, I mean, is there a way to get those, or you have to sort of find one?
Come to our show.
Come to a show.
Yeah,
it's the only way.
We'll give them away. Yeah, they're free. So
awesome.
Or if you want one and you live far away or something, let us know. We'll mail you one. All CDs are free. If you have a CD player, you deserve a free CD. Is kind of the idea. Whether in your car or in your home, there's something wrong with you.
We're burning them ourselves, like in this very room. So you know,
So
in fact, like,
there's a stack of them back there.
Yeah, we've got these guys over here. I don't know if that's
anybody wants.
It's all CD. Backwards, but if you want a CD, we've got a bunch of them.
I may have to bug you about one later, but yeah, excellent. I'm glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Awesome. So
yeah, definitely need a CD.
Yeah, the old DM on Instagram will do it. Absolutely.
Or I'll just start like dropping them around your general vicinity in the city till you find one.
I'll just be taking the bus to work or something, and I'll see it. Yeah. Awesome.
I'll just send you a location pin, and there'll be a shovel there.
Geocache. Yeah.
I love it. Right on.